Hi, 4G students. Welcome to another video. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, and I'm so excited to do another lesson for you. And guess what? We are doing science again. I know that you already saw it on the title. We're going to be talking more about the moon, more about the moon phases. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I start with today's lesson, I want to say that I'm so happy because all of you are doing your work in Schoology, and this is our second week doing this. And I can tell you that we are going to continue with the same routine. What I mean is that we are going to have the lesson in YouTube and you're going to have the test after the video. Today, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the resources that you can use for today's test. Okay? So, the title, the pictures are here. The moon phases. I know last week we had a lesson for science. That lesson was in Spanish. We were talking about the movements of the earth, the movements of the moon, and how they react and how they are involved in the solar system. But today we're gonna be focusing just in the moon. We're gonna be talking just about the moon. I know we were talking about the moon since last lesson, but it was more like the characteristics of the moon. Today it's gonna be about the moon phases, and we're gonna learn those names that you see on the screen right now. I know they are kind of weird, they are hard to remember, but if you take the time and you read them slowly, they are not that hard. So there are 8 phases that we need to learn, and we need to see why and how they happen in the universe. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I have a presentation for you. I'm gonna give you the introduction of the moon phases. I'm gonna come back to this page so we can learn the pronunciation of each of the moon phases. Then I'm gonna go back to the presentation, and that's gonna be pretty much it for today's lesson. Okay, so sit back, enjoy today's lesson. Okay, so the presentation is right here. So I'm gonna start right here. I wanna give you the introduction, then I'm gonna go back to the page where I was so we can learn the actual pronunciation of the moon phases. Okay, so I wanna put this a little bit bigger so all of you can see it better. Okay, we see the moon from Earth as the moon is moving around the Earth, right? We know that. We know that the moon by itself is moving, right? The moon has 2 movements. It's rotating on its own axis, and it's also making revolutions around the Earth. Okay, so let me repeat that again. The moon is always moving around the Earth, and it takes like 29 days to make one full revolution around the Earth, and that's why we see different phases of the moon. That's why sometimes we don't see it at all. Sometimes that's why we see the full moon, or that's why sometimes we see only like a part, like a fraction of the moon. Okay, so let me continue here. It says the way the moon appears changes depending on where the moon is in its orbit. Okay, it depends on the location, and depending on the location, that's what we see of the moon. Okay, and after we learn the pronunciation of the moon phases, we're gonna learn when and how we see a full moon, when we see a new moon, when we see like the waxing gibbous and all that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna teach you where the moon is located and how do we call that phase. Okay, but just remember, the moon phases change because the moon is always moving around the earth, and it takes like about 29 days. And there you go. Here in this picture, you see that there are 8, right? We start on top we have 4, on the bottom we have 4. It says on top, in the lunar cycle, the light starts on the right and gradually grows larger. The appearance of light moves from right to left. And that's, I really want you to pay attention to the second sentence. The appearance of light moves from right to left. That's one of the ways you can learn the 8 moon phases. As you can see on the first one, like it's all dark, right? That's what we call the new moon. As we move to the right, we see like a fraction of the moon. Then we continue moving to the right, we see half of the moon. As you can see, the light moves from right to left. Then we go to the fourth one, we see more, a bigger part of the moon. At the bottom we see a full moon. Then from there it starts to decrease, right? So it decrease, and then we repeat all the process again. So one way that you can learn the names of the moon is that just putting this in your mind. Start with the new moon. The new moon is the one where you don't see actually anything, and then little by little you see more until you see the full moon. Then from the full moon the light starts to decrease. Okay, but just remember there are 8 phases. And here you can see the actual revolution of the earth and the moon, right? So like I said, the earth is doing its own thing, right? The earth is moving around the sun. The earth is rotating on its own axis, and the moon is also making its own movement. It says here that the phases take about 29 days, and that's right, we already said it. But here you can see, I think you can see it better, that the moon is always moving around the earth. Let me go here and click next. And guys, you know this, right? You know this since the last lesson. The moon is not able to produce its own light. We are able to see a fraction of the moon, or we are able to see the full moon because the sun, it's the one that is giving the light to the moon. We only see a reflection of the moon. So one thing that I want you to keep in mind, that in order to see the moon has to be like on the other side, like the earth has to be on the middle. Like it has to be the moon, the earth, and the sun. If the moon is in the middle, is in between the earth and the sun, we will not be able to see anything. That's why you see in one of the pictures, you see that the earth is like all dark, and that's because it's in between the earth and the sun. When it's on that location, we cannot see anything. But I'll give you more details on that once we come back to this presentation. And it says here, each phase of the moon has a specific name. So the names are not here, so I need to go back to where I was at the beginning so we can actually learn the names. And after we learn the names, I'm gonna come back to this presentation to see the specific location of each of the phases. So let me go back to the first page right here. So here, this is what you're gonna need for 5 of the questions that you have on the test for today. So pay close attention. So, and actually you have this in Schoology. I'll show you at the end of the video. Okay, so first I'm gonna start with the first one, with the first square, and that's the new moon. And there's nothing there. We don't see anything, guys, because I just said it. When we have a new moon, then the new moon is the moon is in between the earth and the sun. So we are not able to see anything, guys. That's the new moon. We are not able to see anything. On the next one, we see like a fraction, a part of the moon, like on the right side, and that's the waxing crescent. I'm gonna repeat it again. You call it the waxing crescent. Okay. Then we move on to the next one right here. And sometimes I get kind of confused with this one because the name for this one is first quarter. I know that quarter sounds to me like a fourth, but actually when it's the first quarter, we actually see like the half of the moon, okay? And after that, we see like 3/4 of the moon, and that's the waxing gibbous. And after this one, we have the full moon, right? That's when the moon is on the other side, the earth is right in between, and we are able to see that beautiful full moon. Then from there, the light starts to decrease, and that's the waning gibbous. Then from there, the light keeps decreasing, and that's the last quarter. Then from there, we have the waning crescent, just a little portion of the moon, and we repeat the process again. We start again with the new moon. Be careful here because the waxing crescent and the waning crescent are not the same, okay? You're gonna have that on the test. I'm gonna repeat that again. The waxing crescent and the waning crescent are not the same, and also the first quarter and the last quarter are not the same. The waxing gibbous and the waning gibbous are not the same. Be careful on that. Be careful on that, okay? And now I'm gonna go back to the presentation. Now that you know how to pronounce the moon phases, so we can actually see the location for each of the moon phases. So here on the first one, guys, what do you think we have? Yes, that's a new moon because it's right in between the earth and the sun. Can we see this one from the earth? No, we cannot see a thing. We cannot see anything. That's the new moon, okay? From there, we have the waxing crescent, and we see a portion of it, just like a fraction, right? And remember, the way that we can remember this is that we can start seeing some light from the right side, right? From right to left. So that's what you're seeing right now. It's the waxing crescent. What's next? We have the quarter, the first quarter, right? We get kind of confused because we connect quarter with 1/4, but actually when we refer to first quarter, we are talking about half of the moon, right? Okay, so that's the location. From there we have let me go back to, because it doesn't say here. I want to give you the specific name, guys. I'm going according to this list. That's the waxing gibbous, okay? Sometimes I still need to see the names. That's the waxing gibbous. That's the location. We like the waxing gibbous is like almost like a full moon, but it's not. That's like 3/4, okay? The waxing gibbous. Then finally we have the full moon. That's when we can actually see like the whole side of the moon, right? When we have a full moon, it's pretty, right? It's just beautiful. Then from there, guys, the light is gonna start to decrease again. That's the waning gibbous. As you can see now, from a full moon, the light starts to decrease. Then that's the last quarter. Then the last one will be the waning crescent, and from there the lunar cycle repeats all over again. So I'm gonna go back really quick so we can repeat them, and you can repeat this on your own right there. So the first one is the new moon, waxing crescent, quarter moon. We said that this one was the well, which one was it? It was the it was the, told you guys I need to use my resources. That was the waxing gibbous. Then full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent, and the new moon again. Okay, so those are the 8 phases of the moon. So guys, that's today's lesson. If you have any questions, please send me your questions on Class Dojo or in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. Remember, this picture, the one that I have here, because I know the names are kind of complicated. Even me, I was having a hard time to repeat all the names from the moon phases. You have this image in the video, but you also have it in Schoology. So let me go back to this page so I can go to Schoology. Right here, guys, this is Schoology. Remember that we are doing, let me go to the home page. This is our home page. We are in the second folder already, week of April 6th. So we open it up, and today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. And here, guys, do you see what it says moon phases? So if you wanna like kind of play like a game and try to remember all the names, you have this image here and you have all the moon phases, and on top of the image you have the video, and the last one, guys, is the test. So the test has 10 questions. I will say watch the video first, try to remember all the names, play like a game with your parents, and try to mix them up. Try to learn the names. Have this image next to you when you take the test, because like you're gonna have like 6 or 5 questions about this on the test. Okay, and remember, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be here to help you. So I am your teacher, Mr. Gonzalez. It was a pleasure to do this video. Tomorrow is Wednesday and we have another lesson in Spanish, but that's gonna be until tomorrow. Bye bye.